Sometimes you have to do that because the easy challenge is one you'll get lazy with. The big challenge gets you hungry.
Oh, how the tables turn.
That's a heavy topic, and we need to focus on that. If not for yourself, then do it for your children.
Black book is in black.
Black
book.
Men Talk, Black Book. What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And being part of that team, reached out directly and indirectly to over 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. And as always, like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And you are watching Black Men Can Talk. So welcome to Black Men Can Talk, a show where Black Canadian men come together to have real, unfiltered conversations about life, culture, and community. Good day, Kofi Sadat, who isn't 100%.
There you go. I'm tuning in, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing outstanding. How about you?
All right. You know what? Energy is good. Going through a little bit of a cold here, but I'm like, you know what? I need some cell therapy. I need to communicate with my brothers and communicate with some, family out there. And definitely, so get myself on the mend using some herbs.
Nice.
Some lemon, ginger, kind of burning it out. But yeah, I'm feeling good. And of course it's African Heritage Month or Black History Month. So that's
yeah. Kofi Morris, are you with us? You're on mute right now.
Peace and blessings, brothers. Faith that everyone is well, absolutely live and direct and in effect. Looking forward to today's show and connecting with the audience, continuing on the journey of Black Man Can Talk, and we will.
Good stuff. So, Sadat, you said Black Heritage Month or Black History Month or African Heritage Month. Is there a preference to you?
Definitely. I prefer to use African Heritage Month. In particular because it's not just about history at this point, right? And we'll talk about that today, but it's also about reflecting on what's happening today. And of course, looking towards the future, right? So heritage also critical, right? Because a lot of folks has been taught to us that we really don't have, particular heritage, right? So I like the word African instead of Black. That's my choice because it's all encompassing. So yeah, I rather do African Heritage Month, but Black History Month is just as fine as well because it's about communication. It's about connecting with folks. So whatever is good for you, go ahead. What about yourself?
Well, I want to ask Brother Kofi, does he have a preference or does he go with both?
No, I personally like to identify with African Liberation Month. There's been so many different iterations, of this, and I'm sure it'll continue. Black Futurism Month, I think, you know what I mean? Some people refer to it as now, which you'll hear on today's show as well. But yeah, definitely African Liberation Month, simply because, again, my direct connection relative to the work I'm doing as an ancestral healer, I often think about the connection of the source of where we've, what our history has shown us in terms of where some of our ancestors came from, the experience of the Ma'afa, aka the slave trade. So I think that's why that particular title resonates with me, just because of my own spiritual purpose and part of the reason that I play in the community.
Okay, I like the African heritage because I think that goes to the root. That's the root that sprung all of us, whether we're Black Americans, Black Canadians, African Americans, African Japanese, African. It all starts at Africa. That's the root. But I want to bring up another conversation now before we go to break. You gentlemen engage with a lot of individuals. Of anyone that you engaged with, have any comments on what's going on south of the border?
Definitely. I mean, it's interesting in a place that I say personally that we stand, right? Because On one hand, we are, Canadian, living here and experiencing um, this world as a Canadian. But on the other hand, you know, some of us are identifying as whatever, African, Jamaican, or wherever you're coming from. So we always have that duality. And then, how does that play into the politics? But definitely, a lot of folks are talking about it. I'm hearing a lot of humorous pieces. People saying as long as it doesn't impact their oxtail, they're good to go. But you know, yeah, it's really, yeah, it's really a topic for conversation now because, a lot of folks are concerned with the impact of jobs, the impact of relationships. Many of us have family in America. I've got family in America. My brothers live. Some of my brothers live in Florida, right? So you begin to think, should folks be crossing the border on the other side? Even myself, should I be crossing the border into America at this particular time? So really, I think it's impactful for us. And I think the other, as you mentioned it, the other conversation which would be interesting is how does it impact us as Black or African people on both sides of the border, right? What is that impact?
100%. Brother Kofi, anything you wanted to share on the take?
It was interesting, I haven't heard a lot of people weighing in on the current situation. I think we're just kind of removed a little bit until that liquor is affected, until that Henny and that whatever
Oh gosh,
is affected, or whatever else you want to add to that list of items. The price goes up, then you're going to hear people talk about it. For now, it's just politics. And unfortunately, we don't get engaged and involved on that level often until we feel it affecting our pocketbook, our products, whatever the case may be. So people are quiet right now. People are like, oh, Trump, or he's doing this, or he's doing, you hear these little talks. But wait till some of those things I mentioned are affected. Like brother Paul said, if that oxtail goes up anymore, then you're going to hear people talking about it. We have become quite reactionary family, unfortunately, in a lot of cases. So we're not proactive to now look at what's actually happening. At least some of the folks who, we might engage with, people that are a little bit more privy to what's happening and more engaged in the political space, I find, are a little bit more in tune and actually forward thinking. So if anybody's aware, on the day of MLK Day, right, the fact that Trump's inauguration was actually on MLK Day, there was droves of people of African descent leaving America. They're the embassies, a lot of the embassies for the continent, Ghana, different places, were packed, right? You couldn't get a booking because people are going to get their paperwork done, getting, their vaccination information in so that they could leave the country. So there's an exodus happening. Don't get it twisted. CNN ain't going to cover it. So you're not going to see that on CNN. But people are dipping. People are getting out because they are concerned of what's going to take place.
Yeah. And I've seen it in the Jamaica Gleaner as well. How, definitely it's impactful. The Prime Minister was letting people know, hey, look, this new leadership is going to definitely impact immigration and the way that, we want to go to America or to leave or whatnot. So yeah, definitely, I think it's going to impact us, in the Black world.
I want to show something and read it, but you know what? I'm gonna save it till after the break. It's quite, I'll just say, interesting, and it'll lead us into our conversation today. But we will take a break. We'll come back, and we have as always, another great conversation topic to chat about. So hold tight, and we'll be back in about 30 seconds. Good morning, everyone. It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show. Mr. Wayne Harris, what's going on, my brother?
Let's go. Happy New Year, Dr. Vibe and the family. If you have investments in the United States, good for you, because you just make money on the exchange. People are going to spend money they don't have to impress people they don't like. This is looking at the tax code and the tax regime and maximizing it in your favor.
Right, we are back on Black Men Can Talk with myself, Dr. Vibe, Kofi Sadat, and Kofi Morris. And just some housework stuff before we get going. Please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Also, like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. If you want to advertise your business, product, or service on any of these platforms, please feel free to email me, dr.vibe at the dr.vibeshow.com. And then join the Black Men Can Talk Discord group. Email me again, dr.vibe at the dr.vibeshow.com. So since it is African Liberation Month, and our topic today is we're talking about legacy and leadership, Black men who have changed the world. This just came out today from the, I guess, so-called leader of the United States. And this is, so give you some background. I don't know how much people pay attention to politics, but a few days ago, his administration banned all federal departments from celebrating Black History Month or African Liberation Month. So this is a background. He did. He said no celebrations. Now, check what comes out today. Obviously, we'll show this. Okay, so this is on the Instagram timeline of a gentleman I very much respect, George C. Fraser. Incredible elder. So, by the President of the United States of America, proclamation. Today, I'm very honored to recognize February 2025 as National Black History Month. Every year, National Black History Month is an occasion to celebrate the contributions of so many Black, doesn't put a capital B on the Black American, by the way, patriots who have indelibly shaped our nation's history. Throughout our history, again, no capital on the B, Black Americans have been among our countries. Notice there's a capital on the American, but not on the Black.
There you go.
Among our country's most consequential leaders, shaping the cultural and political destiny of our nation in profound ways. Obviously, I know he did not write this. American heroes such as Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, Thomas Sowell, Justice Clarence Thomas, and countless others represent the best of America. Understood. These achievements, which have been monumentally advanced the tradition of equality from a government that just ditched all EDI under our law in our great country, continue to serve as an inspiration to Americans. We will never forget the achievements of American greats such as Tiger Woods, who have pushed the boundaries of excellence in their respective fields. National Black History Month, as America prepares to enter a historic golden age, I want to extend my tremendous gratitude to no beyond the Black Americans for all they have done to bring this moment and for many future contributions they will make in advance into a future of limitless possibility under my administration. Now I don't say his name, I just call 47, President of the United States of America, by virtue of authority vested in me by the Constitution, the laws of the United States, do here proclaim he proclaims that February 2025 is Black History Month. I call upon public officials, educators, librarians, and all the people of the United States to observe this month with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. In witness thereof, I set my hand on the 31st day of January in the year of whatever. So, done. So, in light of that, so our topic tonight is talking about legacy and leadership, Black men who change the world. You know, I respect you, Tiger Woods, but there's some people there that you listed I don't respect. I do not respect Clarence Thomas. So, but even gentlemen, so to kick off our conversation, since Kofi was the lead on this conversation topic, who is a Black man in history you feel changed the world?
So it's a powerful question, Dr. Vibe, and there's a couple different answers. I have my personal direct family connection answer, and I have my historical answer. Which one you want first?
It's your topic. You run with it, brother.
So that what you choose? Which one you choose? Door number one, door number two?
Start with your personal.
Okay, beautiful. So one of the people I want to highlight that's near and dear to my heart, but also to my own journey, is my grandfather. And it's my grandfather on my father's side. There's two of them actually on both sides, but I'll speak about the one. So born in Venezuela. Him and my grandmother, who we call Mommy, they both migrated to Trinidad and started their family in Trinidad. So we don't have a lot of connection to the Venezuelan journey, but the Trinidad journey is a lot of where my family started. So 12 children, raised 12 children. He was a farmer. And a part of why I mention him and I speak about him is his character. I think a lot of the time when we talk about greats and amazing contributions to history, to our present day circumstance, etc., has to do with the person who they were within themselves. So his character, who he was, what he represented. Though he didn't have a lot of education, he was very wise. He was someone who had vision. So there's things that he would actually share with family members that came to pass later on after his passing. And a lot of that is ingrained in them. So the children who I know to be my father, who I know to be aunts, who I know to be uncles, and the next generation maintain a lot of those values and principles in terms of how they show up. Being that though he didn't have that education, he instilled that pride and that personal respect, morals and values to family. So we've consistently maintained that within family. Having just, like I said, having that limited education, he was able to raise these 12 children and be able to pass on some of those values in a sense where now me coming up and doing the work that I do, I learned on later that a lot of his influence affected me and how I show up in a lot of different capacities. So I think one of the pieces for leadership for me is in a lot of cases, making something out of nothing. And I think that's a perfect example of his life, meaning that though he didn't have all of that prestige, he followed his intuition and allowed his connection to the divine to guide him. And that's how he lived his life. So his character and how he showed up and how he kept his word, his integrity was a big part of who he was. So if you go and you speak about him, everybody speaks about him in high regard. A big part of it, I feel, is how he maintained those values and traditions of family. So now when we come together as family, it's one of the most important things for us is how we actually maintain these things within our family and within our family traditions and coming together. So it's one of the people that I want to mention. His name is Susanna Morris. We call him Daddy. And that's one of the people I wanted to honor and just speak about today and call his name, because a lot of those people who've transcended that we call ancestors, one of the main pieces that they talk about in terms of legacy is the ability to call their names and remember them in our day-to-day lives, because ancestors essentially are the ones that support us in this physical plane. So I want to just big up Daddy, Susanna Morris, and I'll pass it back to Brother Paul.
Yes, thank you very much for that, brother. So I will also start on a personal note as well. Like I have a couple people that I believe definitely have impacted history, but also myself, in particular. So I'm going to start with my own father, Lennox Custas Osborne. Custas means storyteller. And, sometimes you got to go home to know who you are, right? So I definitely want to, of course, my dad's showing an example in the home of, a father that is not just there, but he was involved. I've learned a lot from him, but I had the opportunity to actually go home with family last summer, right? And one of the things that, we learn is that people tell you who you are. So we're from a very small maroon village, you can say, in Jamaica, in East Portland. It's kind of actually a valley, of different communities. So, with myself, my children, siblings, nieces, nephews, wherever we went, right, we only heard good things about my father. And one thing I'll say is that he definitely is a man that's known from town to country or whatnot, right? And the level of influence. But I also recognize when he went back that he gave back a lot. You know what I mean? Not just material things, but really he was, sharing wisdom with some of the younger folks, some of his peers. And I definitely think that, I definitely, kind of reflect that some of that connection here in, in Toronto, in Canada. So I really, again, want to give it up to my own dad, right? Because we're always thinking about these people in history as folks that are not connected to us. But many times around us, the history changers and makers are the folks right in our realm. So I will start with my own dad. Dr. Vibe, do you have anybody you want to?
There's so long of a list, but we only have 1 hour. All right. So before we go there, SC says there is a protest organized tomorrow calling all immigrants no work, no school, no shopping. I did not know about that. Give us more information. And what's the root cause or the reasoning behind the protest? So if you can give us some more information, that'd be great. For me, I'm just going to piggyback on what Paul said. My dad, and my dad and I have the same first name, and it means wealthy guard, protector of wealth. And for many years when I was younger, I said, like, why did he name me the same as him?
Yeah.
And then I realized he wants you to protect the wealth of the family by carrying on his legacy. And a little story about him, again, born in Jamaica, Montego Bay, graduated from Cornwall College, all boys school. And at 16 years old, let's say that again, 16 years old, went to Howard University.
What?
16 years old. And so think about that. Young Jamaican, young man, first time out of the country, going to HBCU. Now, at the time, his girlfriend was practicing nursing, and she had left the country. So they both had left. She was first in England, then she ended up in the Greater Toronto area. And he missed his girlfriend. So he said, you know what? I miss you. I got to come up and see you. So people in Toronto will know this a little bit better, can relate with this better. So he took a bus overnight from Washington to Niagara Falls, and Niagara Falls to the Greater Toronto area. Now, during that time, there was no 401. So when he arrived here, he said his girlfriend, which became his wife, my mother, said to him, you know, honey, when I finish my nursing, I will come down to the U.S. He said, no. When I finish my education, I'm coming up here. And in lieu of what's going on south of the border, I'm glad he made that decision. So I could add more, but I guess one other story I'll add. I've mentioned this periodically. He was a public school teacher in downtown Toronto for 38 years at the same school, basically the same classroom. And during his time of teaching, in his early days, I didn't think it was anything big. So one day they were the school was celebrating its 100th anniversary. All right, okay. I said, you know, I'll go down, support. Thinking of it, nothing of it. So I go into the school. In the main foyer, there was a grand piano donated by a gentleman named Morley Safer, who used to be on a show called 60 Minutes. Morley Safer grew up in Toronto, right in that downtown area. So I went up in my dad's classroom, and all these people are chatting with him and going, what's this? So I pulled someone aside and said, like, how do you know my dad? He says, your dad has taught 3 generations of my family.
Jeez.
I just went.
Mm-hmm.
So for him to have 38 years of impact on so many individuals is huge. So I'll just leave it at that. And he's still alive and well. And actually, he's in Jamaica right now. He's been down there since the beginning of. And I'm thinking about going down to see him. And he called me this afternoon and says, you know what? Can you come earlier? I want you to stay longer. So I'll just leave it at that. Paul, you're on mute, my brother.
Sorry about
there
that.
You go.
I was gonna say, great story. You know, it's interesting that we all picked somebody who was related to us.
Yes.
You know, in that particular way. So,
Yes.
you know, definitely, it's good that we have some good Black men in our lives. And for those who are watching online, please put it in the chat or whatnot. You know, hailing up any Black men, specifically ones that you know in your life that you know represents both legacy and leadership.
Do we want to do another round of not people? Maybe
yeah, sure.
Do we do this? Is how, because I thought we were going to people in the past, but another person that was in my soul, and the more I reflect, the more I miss him. And actually was having a conversation with someone last week, Louis Marsh.
Oh man, I knew you were gonna say that, brother. I knew you were gonna say that. It's timely. It's timely. I'm glad you mentioned it because he was one of my two people that I was going back and forth, right? But definitely, I know our sister Debbie let us know that there's going to be a mural that in his honor at Victoria.
Yes, Victoria Park Station. I saw a post on that.
So there's a launch. Look out for the launch. I believe it's like February 8th or something. We'll share that information. A public launch. But yeah, definitely, you know, Brother Louis, you know, we can't judge, man, but we gotta say with my brother, I would say, you know, gone too soon, but influenced a life. Right?
100%.
A life. So definitely Louis March. If you don't know who he is, please look him up and
look it up. Look it up.
Somebody. They'll let you know.
He was in my spirit a week ago. Yesterday, I think we had talked about it a bit last. I went to the Operation Black Men's Political Summit, and I wish he would have been there at that. His spirit would have been so powerful there.
Yes.
And you know, speaking with Dr. Carl James, and I mentioned it last week, I'll mention it again. He says, "How you doing?" I said, "You know, Dr. James, the spirit of Louis Marsh is in me right now, and whenever I ask Louis how he was doing, he says, I'm angry because we're not where we're supposed to be, and I'm frustrated. But it didn't stop him continuing to fight the fight. And there's a part of my spirit that has the angry Louis Marsh in it.
No, I hear you, brother. I hear you. And we need to get angry sometimes, you know?
So that's another round for me. That's an elder that's no longer with us, and an elder. So two.
Okay. So something that comes to mind though in the midst of this, right, is something that you touched on, Dr. Vibe. The fact that we chose people connected directly to us, and to a certain degree directly connected to our own fathers. You know, the two of you spoke directly about your own father, and I spoke about my grandfather, who also had a significant influence on my father. And I'm wondering, the fact that we are currently in this space of Black Men Can Talk, creating this space for other men, Black men, fathers, etc., if that is a direct connection, you know what I mean, to the men that we have become as a result of these men in our lives that played significant roles. And I'm wondering how much of that we can now have an influence on as we move forward, even if you didn't grow up with your father and you had another father figure, whatever the case may be, how that resonates with how we show up in our lives now, right?
Absolutely. For me, 150%. I'm named after my father. I carry his name, right? And I'm still growing up, right? I don't say I've grown up. I'm still growing up. But I remember all the time he used to tell me that I don't care what you become in life as long as you have manners and respect. Because if I mess up and it be severe, it's going to impact him, and I don't need that on him. He worked too hard, too long for me to do that. So I value that relationship. Before we go any further, Essie says in the USA. So there's a protest tomorrow in the USA. Okay, so we'll bring this up right now. So we got this, a day without immigrants. So it sounds like it's a national protest. Wow. No work, no shopping. Wow. Okay. The protest is going down. Then thank you, Essie, for updating us on that. And we've got it on the screen. So this is what good family's all about. Okay. We're updated on that. So that is fantastic. Also, we have some comments. Let me just do this. Let's get back here. So we got some comments. Okay, hold on. Something's not right here. Okay, I know what it is. Okay, there we go. All right. So now let's get back to some comments. So we also have some comments. Frequency of Promotion says greetings, and also says there needs to be a Louis Marsh Street. I agree. A mural in the subway is not enough. And that's not, I don't know. Hopefully it's going to stay for a long time, aka forever. But if it doesn't, I would also like a street on top of that. Who else? Who wants to go next on round 2?
I can go. There's definitely somebody. Louis definitely is, impacted. But I want to talk about my brother. I don't know if you guys can see it. This is Terry Brown. Terry Brown is the founder of Marcus Garvey Day here in Toronto. And as a young man, I met him in 1993, which was the first year that he held the annual Marcus Garvey Day. And what I remember about my interaction myself, and, I was a teenager and I had a friend of mine, hail up Mr. Floyd, and we were on Eglinton West, coming from work and doing our thing. And this elder approached us and said, hey, we need you guys, you young people, to help put this thing together. It's Marcus Garvey Day. And we looked at each other like, okay, we're just a bunch of teenagers. He's like, no. We need, and the best thing he did for us was he gave us leadership. He goes, you know what? I need you guys to lead this. Right? And to be honest,
I didn't even know that, bro. You know that part.
Yeah, man. He said, I need you guys to lead this. And me and Floyd were like, and to be honest, it was one of those things where, because we had never done a festival or anything like that before, I thought the vision was too big at that time for me. I couldn't see beyond, but I remember the day that we had it, and seeing Terry dressed up as Marcus Garvey as he did every year. I loved it. But seeing the community come out and connecting really for the first time on a big level with different community members and elders and everybody being there, I was kind of in awe, in a sense where, yeah, man, he saw something in us collectively. He didn't just say, help us do this, but he wanted us to have leadership. So, while he was alive, and rest in peace, every year, even when I left the city of Toronto, I always came back, and Terry always had open arms for myself and Floyd. So definitely an honor. I have to give it up to my brother Terry Brown. Rest in power, your spirit, your works, your energy is still here alive in many of us that are continuing the good fight. So I want to give it up to Terry Brown.
I say, big up. Can't forget them. Can't forget. I the couple times that I would run into we spoke. We mentioned him. We referred to him as Elder Terry. Yes. Always a humble spirit, but he had that fire. He always had that fire, regardless of how humble he was. That's what I picked up from him in my interactions always. And I feel like, going back to what you said about the anger, especially as men, I think it's one of the things that we struggle with. I know it's actually one of the things we struggle with often, growing up in this place. If you're in this space, if you're in North America as a Black man and you have some consciousness about you, some awareness about you, you're going to have moments of anger, because also within you is this spirit of, I think, that need for the liberation that we don't presently have. So you got to be angry. There has to be something in you that and we'll talk about some of the folks today that tapped into that energy to understand that it can propel you to move forward because it prevents comfort. A lot of cases we talk about comfort is the enemy of progress sometimes. And it doesn't mean you can't have, we talk about self-care. It doesn't mean you can't be taking care of yourself. It doesn't mean you can't cock up your foot and enjoy yourself and stuff like that. That's not what I mean. But generally, this space of being comfortable, as people of African descent, I think it's one of the things that challenge us in terms of the fight, in terms of the work, in terms of what it looks like. This whole piece around, having arrived to a certain place because you have a mortgage and 2 car and 2.5 children, and then whatever the case may be, that's going to be success for you when say your people are still in circumstances and situations of struggle and of challenge, and collectively we haven't arrived, right? So one of the people I want to talk about, funny enough, is I was looking at this poster, and it's a beautiful poster. I'm gonna just share. I'll just share a little bit of it.
Robert Small.
Boom, 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 boom. Somebody's familiar with some of these posters that you see every year coming out, right? Legacy, as you see at the top there. I want to talk about the brother who produces these wonderful pieces. And I wonder if he might be listening tonight. And even if he's not, he gonna catch the replay. I want to speak a little bit about our brother, Robert Small. And I'm gonna read a little bit in terms of his bio. Robert Small is a Toronto-based artist, educator, advocate, known for his contributions to Black history education in Canada. He's a creator of the Legacy Poster, an annual Black History Month initiative, has been featured in schools, businesses, organizations for nearly 3 decades, folks. If you don't know about him, get on your history. His work aims to highlight the accomplishments of Black Canadians and global historical figures, fostering awareness and representation. He was appointed a member of the Order of Canada in 2021 and officially invested in 2022. This prestige honor acknowledges his dedication to promoting Black heritage, advocating for culturally relevant education, empowering Black youth through positive imagery and anti-racism efforts. Small's legacy posters are featured in influential Black Canadian, such as Dudley Laws, journalist Marcy Ian, educator Fua Cooper, musician Julie Black. His work continues to inspire, educate, and ensuring that Black Canadian history is recognized and celebrated. So, brother, we're giving you your flowers today while you're still here with us. We're giving you your flowers if you're catching this replay. And I know you're going to be on the show. So I know he's been in the show in the past. He's going to be on the show again.
Yes.
Because I even thought about bringing him on tonight. So the reality is, I think, once again, we forget the impact of our artists sometimes with regards to our revolution and the work that we do, forgetting that in a lot of cases, those are the people that brought the struggle to the forefront, right? The people that took the pictures, the photographers, the videographers, the people that created songs of revolution and positive change for our people. Sometimes they're not on the same level as politicians or whoever you might call, but they play a significant role in positive change for our community and maintaining legacy. So Robert Small, big up yourself, brother. And if you don't have your poster,
Get it.
There's a notification to get your poster.
There it is, right there.
I want to 2 things. Frequency of Red Promotion says, hi, Dr. Vibe. Hi, Sadat. Hi, Kofi. The people that we've mentioned, whether they are still with us or not, what makes their contributions timeless in your opinion?
It's a great question.
Well, I would say good. I think with all the folks that we've mentioned, and I know I can speak to my folks in particular, is that the work that they have done, I would say first of all, is unfinished. So it's timely. There are a lot of. I mean, obviously, as a community, as a people, we haven't realized our fullest potential because we're growing into that, but to see leadership, which is always necessary, and it could look different. It could be a collective model, it could be individual, but folks that actually were able to step out, and I'm going to mention Brother Louis, as you mentioned, as well, people who were willing to step out and be selfless, right? And really do it on behalf of their people and their community. I think that's something that all these folks have in common. And we never really see, what happens in the background in terms of, sacrifices, what impact or pushback is happening with these folks. But I think for me, I would think all these folks are timeless because they've all stepped out and been selfless in terms of really putting the community forward. And, again, leaving a great example, not just for, Black men, not just for Black women, but I think, Black people and anyone else who is, on the side of, humanity and justice. I really think that these folks are folks that we need to learn from, and we can build on their lessons.
Absolutely. I mean, I echo a lot of those sentiments that you shared, but then I think impact is the word that comes to my mind, even in terms of bringing together some of the themes that you just mentioned. What impact did they have in the time that they had while they were here, or the ones that are continuing to still do work? What impact do they have on our hearts, our minds, and our spirit? Like, does what they do make you feel to do something or look at something differently? Because I think that's what creates change, right? You're looking at something in front of you. Things are this way, and as a result, do you see something different? I think they plant a seed for us in terms of vision and being able to see a different picture that they themselves are seeing for a reason. Because a lot of them, the vision was given to them. They're continuing a legacy. They're continuing a seed that's been planted in them by somebody else, as are we, as we spoke about our fathers and our grandfathers. So I think impact is a big one. Being able to change a perspective, outlook, vision, and they be able to actually put into action the things that they talk about. I think is also key. And that's why we talk about them. When we talk about the Malcolms and we talk about Nelson Mandela's and we talk about these folks, you can envision some of the things that they did and the action that they took, which led to changes being created. So I think that's a huge part of that piece as well.
I'll piggyback onto that. They didn't just talk it; they did it. Right? It was one thing to say something, but they did it. Again, looking back on us, like Elder Louis, he did what he did without driving a car. He took transit all around Toronto. How much more of a people man can you be than be on with the people on the buses?
Yeah. That's so true. That's so true.
Just you can't get more than that. You really can't get more than that. So many different ways I can take this. Okay, how do we make sure that the stories that we've shared of others is passed down to future generations?
Well, I think Kofi had talked about the importance of artists, and I think many of great artists we know help to carry those stories, right? So traditionally, whether you were a griot, from West Africa, or a storyteller, you were charged with the purpose of bringing forth the stories of the people. And I think bridging that gap now, that there's so many young people we have in our community that are so talented and so connected, right? I'd love to hear a rap about the impact of a Louis March, right? I'd love to know something, visual, right? Mural, yes, but we want to see poetry, we want to see all those pieces. And I think, that's a great way to keep these things alive, is using art to, sing the praises, talk about the challenges, that folks would have experienced trying to, as I say, raise the flag, right? So I think music is a great way, or sorry, art is a great way to keep those stories alive.
Yeah, document the journey. Document the try. I know I've mentioned it just as that a few times, that again, we're leaning on Louis March for a reason, because he was that impactful. And I've told Sadat this. I actually have documented the last Q&A of Elder Louis Marsh. Last year we were at a Level Up, was it called? I think it was called Level Up. It was an event downtown, and the organizer asked if I could do a Q&A with Louis for about 20 minutes, and I have that documented. And I have to, you know what I'm going to do? I actually think I should, I think my mind say on his birthday, I'm going to broadcast that live. But we had that conversation. It was really, really epic. Really, really epic. But yeah, I see something someone has sent me something to play. So I'm going to see if I can do this in real time. And, yeah. Well, okay. This is a long video, my man, Brother Kofi. You've just sent me. It's like 30 minutes. We don't got 30 minutes left.
Lord.
No. It's just I just posted. It's just a portion of the beginning. The first literal 60 seconds will provide the listeners with significant information.
I will. Okay, and actually 2 weeks ago on Black Canada Talking, myself and Cesar Nadima Musa, especially Cesar, who is born in camera, brought up this subject. So there's a longer conversation on, just maybe 2 episodes ago on Black Canada Talking, but by your request, we'll play the first 60 seconds of it. We have this. Okay, so let's give this a play.
That one of the smallest countries in Africa accomplished something that some of the most advanced economies in the world find difficult to achieve. Under the incredible leadership of President Ibrahim Traoré, Burkina Faso has completely eliminated its $4.79 billion national debt without accepting any assistance from the West. Yes, you heard correctly. No compromises, no ties attached, and no loans. For many years, many believed that African countries would never be financially independent. However, Traoré made it a reality rather than merely imagining it. How did he achieve it, we wonder? What tactics did he use to transform a nation that was frequently eclipsed by its more affluent neighbors into a shining example of independence? This is Africa's narrative, not just Burkina Faso's, and it must be told. You can't just call Ibrahim Traoré a leader. Traoré thrives on questioning the current quo, when many other leaders are happy to keep things as they are. Burkina Faso was in terrible shape when Ibrahim Traoré took power. The country was drowning in debt, its resources were being plundered, and its sovereignty was being jeopardized due to decades of economic mismanagement. Hope was in short supply, and the populace was disillusioned. For the majority, obtaining further loans from foreign governments or international organizations would have been the sensible course of action. After all, this has historically been the path taken by countries facing comparable challenges. Traoré, however, adopted a different strategy, a more audacious one. Burkina Faso, in his opinion, had all it took to be independent. Unlocking its potential and inspiring people to believe in a common goal of independence were crucial. Traoré's strategy was not only groundbreaking, but also dangerous. He exposed Burkina Faso to serious economic difficulties by turning down the safety net of foreign aid. However, he also laid the groundwork for a historic shift that would not only settle the country's debt, but also change its course for the future. This boldness to question long-standing structures is what makes Traoré's narrative so interesting. However, we must examine the details of Burkina Faso's transition in order to fully comprehend the scope of his accomplishment.
All right. So I was going to ask if there were any people, future leaders, and it sounds like there's a gentleman right there. Yeah, he has just been brought.
There's a lot of,
go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish what you're
No,
gonna
no,
say,
go
Dr.
ahead.
Vibe.
No. He was brought to my attention a few weeks ago, and I've done some research on it. I'm fascinated.
And again, everybody has their flaws. No leader is perfect. So let's just make that clear. But being able to step up in the time that he did and provide the leadership he's continued to provide. There's some amazing history about Burkina Faso, and I think a lot of the time we talk about American history, right? We talk about aspects around the legacy in America, forgetting some of the legacies of things that have taken place on the continent. So for those that not, maybe not connected to this history, there's a connection also to another great leader, Thomas Sankara. So definitely Google these people, right? Beyond just the folks that we often talk about. Google information about Ibrahim, Google information about Thomas Sankara. And again, a lot of these things are connected to certain policies that are revolutionary, right? Land distribution, women's rights and advocacy, self-sufficiency programs, education, healthcare, like all of the things that the major areas that affect us as people, a lot of the time we're not at the forefront, unfortunately, in the Americas relative to leadership. So like I want to say, like, urging young people that have an interest in a particular area to follow that interest, because you never know where you may become relative to be at the forefront of some of these significant changes that are going to happen, because we need support. We need help in areas of healthcare. There's racism in healthcare, family. There's racism in the food industry, right? There's racism that affects us in education. So we need people at the forefront of all these various areas. You don't necessarily have to always be just behind a mic or, again, dribbling a basketball or some of the stereotypical pieces that we sometimes find ourselves in. Doesn't mean you can't pursue that, because guess what? You can pursue your education and still play ball, right? And perhaps ball, soccer, or whatever, music, those may be the doors that open for you. But what are you going to study? What is the thing you're going to study? And if it means that you're passionate about healthcare, pursue that. Connect with individuals in community that can help you. Put the call out in terms of, I know mentorship is a big piece, right? And being able to know, how do I navigate that space, a new industry, what school is best for that, right? I think we need to start expanding our circles and community around supporting young people that want to pursue different areas, so that the next 10, 15, 20 years, we have young people in some of these areas of leadership that are going to transform aspects of healthcare, education, again, connecting that to the continent of Africa. And some of the things that can be done when we reclaim, right, our legacy and our connection back to the continent, right? There's work that can be done now as opposed to waiting, that young people can start getting involved with, so that they can connect themselves back. So I think some of the things around Ibrahim, I just wanted to mention as I was doing some research, and it spoke about even, the focus on maternal child health care, vaccination programs, broader access to medical services. So, and again, some of these things are touchy subjects, but understanding that there's some areas that are not being focused on, that weren't being focused on prior to his leadership. Being able to get to a point where he's actually able to have impact on things like economic social development, right? Policies, gender equality, child welfare, protection of marginalized communities, some of these things. There's women's empowerment programs, right? That are key initiatives that speak to women being connected to some of the times the political process and being involved in business. So like some of these things are very revolutionary, especially for places that are heavily run by men, right? So often at times in our history, there hasn't been that connection between women getting involved in leadership positions in politics, women getting involved in leaderships in business. So he's basically, again, taking a different angle on some of those things and providing a different lens to it and opening up doors, right? So definitely look into Ibrahim Traore and his contributions to our current state and where we're going.
I love it. I almost want to connect it back to the original question you were asking, Dr. Vibe, about the impact of the tariffs and what's going on, and it's making me think, in particular with our young people, what opportunity can the situation bring for you? Right? We're thinking about it in a Canadian context that, okay, we have to buy more Canadian products and whatnot, but you too are Canadian in that sense, or in the market. So you as a young Black person now, right? If people are not going to import Heinz ketchup, are you able to make your own version or something else that will be appealing to the market? Look at it as, what opportunities can this particular challenge bring, right? I'm going to put that out to young people, right? To really step into that. Some of us older folks too, but really the young people, I think it's the time, right?
I think it's a great link in that all the people we've mentioned have been faced with challenges. But as I like to say, if the dream is big, the facts don't matter. Right? Their dream was bigger than the facts that people were giving them.
There you go.
Right? They didn't say one day, they said 2 day.
100%.
They made those things happen. So you know what? I think we'll wrap it up here because I know, Sadat, you're not 100%.
Yeah.
Kofi already has another subject lined up for us next week.
All right.
He's got. Should I tease them? What if, unless we have a guest? Should I tease them now with a title, Kofi, or should we hold that back on them?
Is that me, the Kofi you're talking about?
Yeah, you.
Yeah, you said something.
There you go.
Should we keep quiet, or should we give a tease, or should we? You're in control because you're the content creator. I had it right on my phone right here.
Well, my brother dropped some pieces in the chat, so I think you might be referring to him, but definitely let's drop it. My perspective, let's drop it. Let's and there's a couple quick pieces I want to talk about with leadership because I don't want it to be a one-sided conversation.
That's
so
next
there's a couple
week.
quick things I want to drop. No, relative to today's conversation.
Okay, well, okay.
But feel free, drop it.
Them.
Drop that piece,
Well, no, I'm teasing for our next conversation. I'm not dropping the whole thing.
No. Go ahead and tease. Throw the tease out. That's what I'm saying.
So our next conversation, unless we have a guest next week, is 7 reasons Black men face challenges in accepting leadership positions and how to overcome them. So this is good stuff.
I like it.
See, Kofi is taking charge. We're just sitting here in the audience, and we're just doing.
Yo, he's knocking it out the park.
He's knocking out the park. He's knocking out the park as usual. But any final comments from either one of you before we shut it down? Make sure Paul gets some, or Sadat gets some well-needed rest.
Yes, for sure.
Any final comments?
That's my final comment. Make sure that we all, as Black men, get some, and Black people, get some well-needed rest. Rest is resistance. Rest is revolution. So make sure that we do that.
I like that. Especially in these times, I hear more people say, I'm overwhelmed. I just need a break. Take it. Brother Kofi, anything you want to add on?
I think that's a perfect segue, thinking that, again, last week was BLK's talk. And again, we wait to this day sometimes to talk about self-care and to talk about things we should be doing consistently to maintain our health. So everyone, you should have some kind of natural remedy basket or kit in your home that everyone can take. If you pursue homeopathic or naturopathic remedies, you should have something for cough. You should have something for fever. You should have something for runny nose, all these type of headaches. Visit your local health food supplier. You can also contact me. There's ways that I can connect you to some of these resources simply because you need something that you can go to because you know it's coming. So how do we prevent some of these pieces? I always, again, speak about our ability to be proactive. So let's have some of these things in our home. Get your sea moss in your home. You know what I'm saying? Get some echinacea in your home. Get some oil of oregano in your home. Some of these things keep them. And some of these things were passed on to us by some of our elders, right? Elder Kai is one of the elders from a community who, used to operate a health food store called Senbi. That opened the door for a lot of us in terms of health food products and being able to access and understand some of the basic things that you can do to fight this thing called the common cold, right? Yeah. In 2025, family, we still don't know how to fight the common cold. How long have we been here, right? So basic things that we should be doing for health and maintenance and consistency in terms of our healthcare. It doesn't mean you're not going to face some of these things, but at least be proactive, be taking in your fresh fruits and vegetables, drinking your water, and doing the things that can create rest, as we said, and relaxation, so that you can replenish and be prepared. So I'm glad that, again, this show's on a Sunday, so you can implement some of these things going into your week, right? Chop up some of your vegetable and your fruit from tonight. Load up that vitamin container and some of your supplements so you have them for the next 5 days, right? Plan out your week. If you're going to the gym, commit to the gym. Say, yo, I'm going to go 3 days this week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, whatever the case may be. Create your plan for this week. As we talk about today with some of these wonderful leaders, put the plan into action. It means nothing just on a piece of paper if you don't put it into action. So those are some of my closing remarks in terms of how we can actually lead ourselves and our families and our community. Starts with what you're doing in your home, what you're putting in your mouth, the food provisions, how you're resting your body, and what you're feeding yourselves with spiritually, mentally, emotionally.
Good
Can
stuff.
I add one more thing, Dr. Vibe?
Go ahead.
Real quick. I need to hail up my sister, Essie. And the reason why I say this, Essie's always checking in terms of weekly, the show happening and whatnot. I had an opportunity to do some training, her and myself, around some African-centered principles for an organization. But I really want to hail up our sister Essie.
Yes.
Because it's important.
Here every show. She's here every show.
There you go. So big up yourself, Essie. One love.
Thank you.
Nice. All right. So as we shut it down here, as always, contact information, Kofi Sadat. Your email address is there. And Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and also NASA Community on YouTube. Kofi Morris, email is there. getwellstayfit@gmail.com. 2 different Instagram handles. And I heard a rumor he's going to be launching a YouTube channel. I heard that rumor.
Okay.
Right. And then finally, you want to add anything there? When's that YouTube channel going to launch?
They could look at it. They can actually look out for it on our next show.
All right. Looking forward to it. And then myself, my website, the drvibeshow.com, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. The Dr. Vibe Show, Instagram at the drvibeshow, X/Twitter at drvibeshow, and email address dr.vibe@the drvibeshow.com. And this is how we always shut it down. Live your life as a dream if you can dream it. Sometimes that gets smaller, gets stronger. Block assumptions. Then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher and wider. Love, faith, and respect. Don't just manage your time, manage your energy. And I'm adding on a new one, I think. Make it better. God bless. Peace to all. Keep the faith. While good, we'll chat you next week. Have a great week. Be well.
Thanks, family. Every time.
Time with our parents, they're like, I have nothing to teach you. I don't know nothing.
My dad's at that point now. It says,
That's my point.
But I'm saying, no, Dad, you got lots more to give. You know how cold it is when these 2 brothers in their yard.
You know that. You know that. You don't know that, bro. You know
No
that.
joke.
I know we all have these things, but you know what? My go-to is this thing.
Wow.
Black book. You see this black?
Black
Black
book.
men talk, black book.